Here we are again, Money, Motivation, and Mike, MX3.VIP, and a story that just will not die. Typically, literally, the story goes back to the 2008, 2009. Definitely heated up in about 2016, working on a decade. One of the people involved had another deposition this week about a billionaire trafficker, Jason, found dead in his cell. The whole world asked who had killed Jeffrey Epstein. But here's the thing. We've been asking the wrong question for a long time. Here's the better question. Who built Jeffrey Epstein? And I'm not talking about his money. He did that himself. Jeffrey Epstein didn't build his trafficking operation alone. There's someone behind him, step by step, sometimes out in front of the steps. The recruiting, the grooming, the organizing, not just a bystander, not a girlfriend who looked the other way. Frankly, the actual architect. Her name, and I always butcher her first name, Ghislaine Maxwell. How would you say it?
Ghislaine?
Whatever.
But I don't know that's which is proper.
Well, here's who she is moving forward, Mrs. Maxwell.
There you go.
She was deposed again this week in a deposition before Congress. Now, she did not go to Congress, and you can maybe put this up on the show of her sitting in a penitentiary, which she's now in Bryan, Texas. Been moved to a minimum security, and doing her deposition from that location to Congress and Washington, D.C. And as she did 10 years ago, pled the fifth. Now, what would you do? Here I am in prison. I don't know if you know all the background. She's been pressing on Donald Trump to help her, who she obviously knew in the circles of the New York elite. Now, she's also come out and said she never seen any illegal activity or heard about any illegal activity when it come to Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. Have you heard that?
I knew of the Donald Trump.
And she said the same thing about Bill Clinton.
Yeah, but we've seen plenty about Bill Clinton.
I'm just telling you what she said.
Sure.
Yeah, just telling you what she said. And other than that, she has pled the fifth. And I believe it's because she's in prison. What does she have to gain? She's going to use, and she already knows the ins and outs of business and how to get things done, whether you call it manipulation or whatever you want to call it. And she's not going to give up anything until she can find a deal that she can make with the White House. And when she does, then I believe she'll tell us the whole story. But until then, she's not coming clean. Now, this lady grew up in major primo society. She's a Christmas Day baby, Jason. So she was a Christmas gift in 1961 in the country of France. She is the youngest of 9 kids. So obviously she was pampered. She had big sisters that probably treated her like a mother, like a lot of younger siblings get treated. You know, her father, Robert Maxwell, media mogul, Holocaust survivor. You don't know many Holocaust survivors. Now I know that he's been dead. Her dad's been dead 35 years, but she came from a Holocaust family, which to me would be major trauma, major issues. And for her dad to come out of that and become a major media mogul is a big deal. she grew up in the Oxford elite, the Oxford upbringing with the college. And then in 1991, her dad is involved in a fund scandal, retirement fund of his employees to the tune of $400 million. And overnight, her world comes crashing down and she flees to New York. And guess who she meets? Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so she's there in the 91 area. She's barely 30 years old. She's born and raised and grew up with money, and now she's meeting a man with money. And coming from her dad, who is one of the most powerful people in the media British history. And now taking upon another man who is high in, you know what? He's high in the financial world. He was not high in the inner circles of New York. He was a nobody when he met up with Mrs. Maxwell. So they obviously formed a very good team, and she was not his girlfriend, but they did have a romantic relationship once upon a time back in the 1990s. The prosecutors established it was from 1994 to 1997, and Epstein, like I said, had money but no social access. And of course, Maxwell's Rolodex was full of socialites and highfalutin contacts. So in exchange for the introductions, Maxwell got her rich, wealthy lifestyle back. And that's what groomed the relationship, which ended up being her having an active role in recruiting and grooming minors. So I've got a little bit of, now, first of all, you cannot mess with the kids. I can't deal with the drugs, and I can't mess, and I can't deal with offenders messing with kids. There's a lot of other things that does not affect me. The drugs and messing with kids mentally affects me, especially the children. It's at the top of my list. Do whatever you want to do. Don't mess with the kids. So being very clear about their relationship, because the media now has spent years calling Maxwell Epstein's girlfriend. At some time, they had a romance, but during this transaction, both sides got exactly what they needed and wanted, which I've already talked about. So Epstein and all his money, he was a nobody in the social circles. He was a college dropout. Did you know that? College dropout.
Didn't know.
From Brooklyn. He's a Brooklyn, New Yorker who had somehow talked his way into finance. And he had wealth, and that's all documented on how much he had. He had several houses, but he didn't have access. He didn't have that Rolodex, that gets you into the right rooms, talking to the right people. And Maxwell had that Rolodex through her father's empire. And she had direct connections to the royalty. Obviously, who's the prince? Andrew?
Yeah.
Now, that it's been involved in this deal?
Andrew.
That King Charles has dethroned him and threw him out, right?
Yep, stripped him of his titles.
A victim of his residence.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, owned by the British government.
Yep.
So, and we see him all the time. But she had these connections to royalty, the heads of state, billionaires, media executives, all kinds of people who didn't take meetings with strangers. Got to know someone to know someone to know some. And she introduced Epstein to all them. And guess who was at the top of the list? Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew. And the list goes on. Yes. So Epstein bankrolled her lifestyle, property, staff, travel, monies, just the whole deal. They were, like I say, intimate, But even after their romantic relationship and it faded, they were partners for another 25 years, right up until Epstein's arrest in 2019. And here's the part I think doesn't get enough attention, and that wasn't the social arrangement, but Maxwell wasn't just making introductions at dinner parties. So according to prosecutors, for roughly a decade, from the 1994 to 2004 category, Maxwell was actively recruiting, grooming, and in some cases participating in abuse of minor girls. Now, we've seen a lot of victims. The Attorney General this week had to testify before Congress.
Pam Bondi?
Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And there were what they call victims in the crowd. And they had those victims stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
And they're really on the Attorney General because she would not turn around and even look at them. Yeah. She looked down at her next set of notes as they were identifying the victims.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Miss Pam Bondi.
You're
myself.
Not?
No.
Well, as
she's done a few good things, but this whole Epstein thing has been kind of the Achilles heel for me with her.
She really hasn't been aggressive, has she not?
No, not enough.
I'm not really for sure. The main culprit is dead. The right hand, Maxwell, is in prison.
Yeah.
What else are we trying to get out of this situation? Other than now it's come down to they're trying to embarrass people who were involved, such as Andrew, Prince Andrew. I guess we can't call him Prince Andrew. Now he's just that dude from England, right?
Pretty much. Andrew from England.
Andrew from England. That's his new name. But okay. So I guess what we're trying to do here is identify people who had activities with minors who should be held accountable now. Is that what we're doing?
They're alleged.
Okay.
But
whatever it was.
Yeah. Suspected.
Yes.
But it's hard to say for sure unless you were there, right? But so nevertheless, it definitely appears that way.
Obviously, Maxwell has been well groomed from her father, and then the things that she has done in the Epstein circle. She knows what she's doing, and she's not giving up anything. You want something, you got to get something. That's how deals are made. She is not going to budge until that time comes. Now, she's now in her mid-60s. Did she get I think she got a 20-year sentence. Something like that.
Not sure. I can look it up.
I'm not really that too big of a deal about it, but nevertheless, she hired the assistants, enticed hundreds of girls. Now, this is the one that gets you in the gut. Some as young as 14. Now, they visited the New York house, the Palm Beach house, the New Mexico house, the U.S. Virgins. They were all groomed and abused. Now, like I say, and I want to make this very clear, I will go with anybody. Colin Kaepernick, and we got on him here an episode or two ago. I would go with anybody to defend the children. Been involved in youth sports all my life, with children's growing up and kids running in and out of your house, nephews, nieces, now grandchildren, grandsons and granddaughter. They're just precious. They're the most innocent people on the earth. And then they grow up and they turn into people like us. And then they're ruined.
Yeah.
So before that time happens, they're still young, immature, sweet, and innocent. All right, now let's move on to this part right here, Jason. And I'm not going to announce her name, but people can figure out who it is because she has been very vocal. One of the more prominent survivors testified that Maxwell recruited her personally when she was 16 years old, a spa attendant at Mar-a-Lago, owned by Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that for a second. Maxwell still came out and said what she said about Donald Trump. Oxford educated, obviously one of the most prominent families in England, walking into a spa and handpicking a teenager. That teenager was obviously persuaded by her, let's just call it her resume. I see an opportunity to do something better for my life by listening to her. Okay? So, is Maxwell at that time a predator?
In most people's eyes, yes.
Well, probably so. 5 out of 6 federal courts, including sex trafficking to a minor, they'll go to trial, but at this point, Maxwell's still saying she had a passive role in this. Back on the start of this whole show, she was running the recruitment pipeline, was she not?
That is my understanding, and I don't buy what she said for a moment.
Yep. Well, like I said, it goes all the way back to the 90s, and I'm anxious to see what's going to happen with her and the president. Because president handed out 5 pardons yesterday.
Yeah.
All former NFL guys.
Okay.
And a couple were USFL guys. Remember, he was basically the commissioner, ramrodder, and inventor of the USFL.
Yeah.
Our old buddy Nate Newton got pardoned.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Nate got busted for drugs, 150 pounds of marijuana.
Was this recent?
25 years ago.
Yeah.
After the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Going to Louisiana.
Trump. Now you're saying Trump pardoned him?
Trump pardoned him yesterday.
What? I thought he was already out.
He's a convicted felon on the street.
Yeah.
Now he gets pardoned.
Gotcha. So he just gets it off his record.
Yeah, and they don't have a criminal record.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you now.
Now he can go back to...
Because I thought he was on ESPN
now
or
he can
something.
go back to voting for Trump. He can
buy some votes now.
He can get his passport back if that's been revoked.
Yeah.
He can get back in the TSA pre-check line.
Yeah, okay. That's what it's all about.
Yes. So, hey, however you feel, and there is a lot of mixed feelings and different emotions, and I look at it this way and you look at it that way, but the bottom line is you shouldn't mess with kids, and I think 100% of us can agree with that. And what they were doing was definitely wrong. And how did law enforcement turn the shoulder? Because remember, Epstein went to prison for like a year back in 2009 for some of that Florida stuff. And how does he get out and get to do it for another decade?
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because the mafia is no longer in charge. He would have got to one child, and then he would have been whacked that night. Just so you know.
Too many connections at this point, which I think what a lot of this was a lot about is gaining power.
That's correct. And to finalize this thing, Maxwell was not the sidekick. Without Maxwell, Epstein would have had very little shot at doing what he did. So Maxwell may have been more at fault of having all of the acts take place than the act itself. And if she only gets 20 years, she's probably being let off. And I don't think there'll ever be a president elected to the United States of America that's going to let her out of prison. So with that being said, we may never know any of these other people who were involved in this sexual encounter. But nevertheless, contact us at info@mx3.vip. Find all of our content on mx3.vip. And of course, here on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3podcast. Until next time, continue to live your life the right way.